Appearance on Dion's Daily Dose does not imply endorsement from or by any candidate or guest. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by Dion Bergeron or Dion's Daily Dose are his own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of any guest. Material and information presented is for general information purposes only. The Dion's Daily Dose name in all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owners, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service. If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this evening's Dion's Daily Dose presents Face to Face with Dion and Shawn. I'm Dion.
And I'm Shawn.
Tonight we have a very special show for you. As you guys are well aware of by now, Donald Trump has been found guilty of 34, I believe.
I believe it was 34
felony charges in this kangaroo court trial that was held. He held a press conference shortly thereafter. This morning. This morning he held a press conference. We're going to play that for you. But one of the things that I just want to say before we get into it is we no longer live in a country where law and order is respected.
No. This has opened up a new bot of worms.
Absolutely. This is an entirely new dynamic. But you know what? And this is the thing that I think a lot of people are kind of missing. But I think more and more people are understanding now. This actually at its core has very, very little to do with Trump himself, because our system has always, not always, but for a number of years now has been this way. There are corrupt judges and district attorneys
and prosecutors
and lawyers that can absolutely turn things on their head. And I believe that at least I hope that we're going to see more and more people waking up to exactly how bad it's gotten. And more importantly, the role of a juror. Because so often we find juries that believe it's their job to do what the prosecution or the state wants them to do. It's not their job. Yeah. And another thing I hope that comes of this is people start to understand and apply what a jury of your peers actually means. Because we've come a long, long way from the Founding Fathers' vision. Far, far, far down the road from what was ever intended. At least I believe. Yep. So let's check in with our, at least my favorite president, Donald John Trump. Did I hit the wrong button? Oh, I did. There we go. Okay, here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, everybody. This is a case where if they can do this to me, they can do this to anyone.
Exactly. Absolutely.
These are bad people. These are, in many cases, I believe, sick people. Mm-hmm. When you look at our country, what's happening where millions and millions of people are flowing in from all parts of the world, not just South America, from Africa, from Asia, from the Middle East. And they're coming in from jails and prisons. And they're coming in from mental institutions and insane asylums.
Yeah.
They're coming in from all over the world into our country. And we have a president and a group of fascists that don't want to do anything about it. Yeah. Because they could right now, today, he could stop it.
Yeah.
Just but he's not. They're destroying our country. Our country is in very bad shape. And they're very much against me saying these things. They want to raise your taxes by 4 times. They want to stop you from having cars with their ridiculous mandates that make it impossible for you to get a car or afford a car. Would make it very possible for China to build all of our cars.
Yeah,
it's a very serious problem that we have. We just went through one of many experiences where we had a conflicted judge, highly conflicted. There's never been a more conflicted judge. Now, I'm under a gag order, which nobody's ever been under. No presidential candidate's ever been under a gag order before.
Ridiculous.
I'm under a gag order, nasty gag order,
You think that
where I've had to pay
lifted it,
thousands of dollars in penalties and fines
he was found guilty
and was
I don't know
threatened
why.
with jail. Think of it. I'm the leading candidate. I'm leading Biden by a lot, and I'm leading the Republicans to the point where that's over. So I'm the leading person for president, and I'm under a gag order by a man that can't put two sentences together, given by a court, and they are in total conjunction with the White House and the DOJ, just so you understand. This is all done by Biden and his people. Maybe his people more importantly. I don't know if Biden knows too much about it.
Right.
Because I don't know if
Look
he
at
knows
the
about
Nero's
anything.
little performance.
But he's nevertheless the president, so we have to use his name. And this is done by
President
Washington,
ice cream.
and nobody's ever seen anything like it. So we have a judge who's highly conflicted. You know what the confliction is. Nobody wants to write about it, and I'm not allowed to talk about it. If I do, he said, I get put in jail.
His daughter.
So we'll play that game a little bit longer. We won't talk about it, but you're allowed to talk about it. I hope you do, because there's never been anybody so conflicted as this. As far as the trial itself, it was very unfair. We weren't allowed to use our election expert under any circumstances.
Which
You saw what happened to some of the witnesses that were on our side. They were literally crucified by this man who looks like an angel, but he's really a devil. He looks so nice and soft. People say, oh, he seems like such a nice man. No, unless you saw him in action. And you saw that with a certain witness that went through hell.
Mhm.
And when we wanted to do things, he wouldn't let him.
Oh.
they messed it up.
It's a rigged. It was a rigged trial. We wanted a venue change
Was me.
where we could have a fair trial. We didn't get it. We wanted a judge change. We wanted a judge that wasn't conflicted. And obviously he didn't do that. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We had a DA who is a failed DA. Crime is rampant in New York, violent crime. That's what he's really supposed to be looking at.
It's terrible there.
Crime is rampant in New York. Yesterday in McDonald's, you had a man hitting him up with machetes, a machete. Whoever can imagine even a machete being wielded in a store, in a place where they're eating, and he's going rampant. And Bragg is down watching a trial on what they call crimes.
They were saying
falsifying
that they canceled some
business records. That sounds to me, it sounds very bad.
Yeah.
You know, it's only a
Crazy.
misdemeanor, but to me, it sounds so bad when they say falsifying business. That's a bad thing for me. I've never had that before. I'm falsifying. You know what falsifying business records is? In the first degree. They say falsifying business records. Sounds so good, right? It means that legal expense. I paid a lawyer, totally legal.
Mhm.
I paid a lawyer a legal expense. And a bookkeeper, without any knowledge from me, correctly marked it down in the books. A very professional woman, highly respected. She testified. Marked it down in the books, the legal expense. So a legal expense, paid a lawyer, is a legal expense in the books. It's not sheetrock, construction, or any other thing. It's a legal expense. Think of
Paid your
that.
lawyer.
This is what the falsification of business records were. And I said, what else are you going to call it? What else are you going to call it? Now, I would have testified. I wanted to testify. The theory is you never testify, because as soon as you testify, anybody, if it were George Washington, don't testify, because they'll get you on something that you said slightly wrong, and then they sue you for perjury. But I didn't care about that. I wanted to. But the judge allowed them to go into everything that I was ever involved in, not this case, everything that I was ever
Like
involved
the
in.
Stormy Daniels,
Which
which
is
is
the
completely
first.
unnecessary.
In other words, you could go into every single thing that I ever did.
Testify
Was he a
about
bad
everything.
boy here? Was he a bad boy there? And my lawyer said, what do you need to go through? And all you wanted to do is testify simply on this case. because I would have loved to have
Constantly,
testified. To this day, I would have liked to have testified. But
objections
you would have
from the
been, you
prosecution.
would have said something out
Stay
of
from the
whack,
judge.
like it was a beautiful sunny day and it was actually raining out. And I very much appreciate the big crowd of people outside. That's incredible what's happening. The level of support has been incredible. So the whole thing is legal expense was marked down as legal expense. Think of it. This is the crime that I committed that I'm supposed to go to jail for 187 years for. When you have violent crime all over this city at levels that nobody's ever seen before.
They didn't prosecute.
Where you have businesses leaving, and businesses are leaving because of this, because heads of businesses say, man, we don't want to get involved with that. I could go through the books of any business person in this city, and I could find things that in theory, I guess, let's indict him, let's destroy his life. But I'm out there, and I don't mind being out there because I'm doing something for this country, and I'm doing something for our Constitution. It's very important, far beyond me. And this can't be allowed to happen to other presidents. It should never be allowed to happen in the future. But this is far beyond me. This is bigger than Trump. This is bigger than me. This is bigger than my presidency. And the people understand it because I just see a poll just came out, the Daily Mail. That was the first one, came out. It was done last night right after the verdict, where I'm up 6 points. 6 points from what we already were. We were leading fairly substantially. We're up 6 points in the Daily Mail poll. Now, maybe other polls come out and it says something differently. But a lot of people have predicted it because the public understands, and they understand what's going on. This is a scam.
Yes, we do.
There's a rigged trial.
We'll see.
It shouldn't have been in that venue. We shouldn't have had that judge. He should have allowed us to have an election expert. We had the best expert, most respected expert, head of the Federal Elections Commission. He was all set to testify. He was waiting for 2 days.
Yeah.
And when it was his turn, Bragg's people protested. And the judge knocked him out, said you can't testify.
Yeah,
he actually said you can't
Bragg
testify for anything having to do with the trial. You can say what the federal elections is. Well, that doesn't help. Everybody knows that.
Right.
But you can't testify. So essentially, he wasn't able to testify. Other people weren't able to testify. But with these people,
it was a joke.
They were able to use people salacious.
Yeah.
By the way, and nothing ever happened.
Nope.
It was no
I believe it.
anything. Nothing ever happened, and they know it.
I do.
But they were as salacious
He's
as they
referring to
could
Stormy
be.
Daniels.
And it had nothing to do with the case.
I believe Trump
But it had
did.
to do with politics.
She came out and
And
said
do you notice
she made
the
it all up.
timing? The timing
what I
was
thought.
perfect.
Yeah.
This case was dead. It was dropped by every agency, every governmental board.
Yep.
It was dropped by the highly respected Southern District.
Yep.
They said, no, there's no case here. It was dropped by federal election, and that's what it's about. This is about a federal election, not a state election. You're not even allowed to look at it. They took the state and the city, and they went into a federal election.
Yep.
They're not allowed.
And that's
the
what
people
made it
from
a
federal
felony.
election, Southern District, and Washington dropped the case. Everybody dropped the case. There was no case. Cy Vance dropped the case. And when Bragg came in, he said, this is the most ridiculous case I've ever seen. And who would have a certain person, again, gag order, who would have a certain person like this ever testify? He said, this is essentially one of the worst people I've ever seen ever to testify. He said, the craziest case I've ever seen. This is Bragg. Then when they announced I was running for president, long time later, they decided to revive this case.
Yep.
And they got a judge, Judge Marchand, who was responsible for another case that was also, it destroyed the life of a very good man, by the way, destroyed the life of a very good man who went to prison once, and then they just put him in prison again because they said he lied. He didn't lie. I looked at the statements he made. In fact, he didn't remember something, and they put him in jail. Again, they've destroyed him. With me for many years, he was an honorable person. He was an honest man. And if you look at what he did, supposedly, it never happened. There's never been anything like this. Over the education of his grandchildren. Over, he didn't report that he had a car. or 2 cars on his income. I don't know. I wonder how many people here have cars. I wonder how many people said, "Oh, gee, I have a car that's worth X dollars." How do you even figure? And I guess you do have to report it, but I would say probably almost nobody does. Nobody even thinks about it. They put this man, they destroyed this man. They put him in jail again because they didn't want him to testify. They didn't want him to testify. That's why he went to jail. Put him in jail twice. He's 77 years old. Now, normally I'd say that's an old guy, but I don't feel 77. Nobody ever says that about me. I'd like them to say, "Gee, we have to have a little sorrow for this man."
Right?
They just don't say that about me.
He doesn't look
Maybe I'm better off
77.
that way. I think
Doesn't,
I'm
does
probably
he?
better off that way. But they put him in
crazy.
jail
Him next to Biden.
twice.
Uh-huh.
The
And you have
sheer
to see what they
debate's
put him
gonna
in jail.
be-
And he was
the debate's
threatened
gonna
by
be
the judge.
lit. We're totally live streaming
This
every
man
debate.
was told
guys.
you're going to get
Join us.
15 years in jail
It's insane.
if you don't give up Trump.
Yep.
And he was
Yep.
told that. You're going to get
Yeah.
15 years in jail. And he made a plea deal because he didn't want to spend the rest of his life. And he was told that viciously.
And if you check
We're living in
the
a
transcript
fascist state.
of their
He was told
talk
that
with
viciously.
him, he said over and over and over,
So you
"I
can go
don't
to
have
jail
anything on
for
Trump. I don't have anything on
4
Trump."
months, 5 months, or you can get 15 years in jail. So do a plea.
Yeah,
Almost who wouldn't do that plea? Everyone does those pleas.
I
It's
get
a
it,
horrible
man.
thing.
I get it.
There's a whole group of lawyers that fight that. It's unfair. It's so unfair. But they destroyed his life. So many other things. You look at Southern District didn't want to bring the case. Nobody wanted to bring the case. And then you know who didn't want to bring the case most of all? Is Bragg. Bragg didn't want to bring it. But then he brought it.
Didn't change
And they
the
tried
law.
to make it a different case. They didn't say legal expense equal legal expense. Again, if I wrote down and paid a lawyer, and by the way, this was a highly qualified lawyer. Now, I'm not allowed to use his name because of the gag order.
Right.
Michael
But, you
Cohen.
know, he's a sleazebag.
Yep.
Everybody
Yeah.
knows
He is.
that.
Everybody knows
Took me
he's
a while to
sleaze bag
find
now.
out.
A liar.
But
Yep.
he was effective. He did work. But he wasn't a fixer. He was a lawyer. You know, they like to use the word fixer. He wasn't a fixer. He was a lawyer. At the time, he was a fully accredited lawyer.
Yeah.
Now, he got into trouble not because of me. He got into trouble because he did outside deals and he had something to do with taxi cabs and medallions and he borrowed money.
That's
And that's why he went. And then he pled to three election violations. And as soon as I saw that, I said, I wonder why he did that. He pled. He took a deal. Now, he took a deal because he wanted to get off. In other words, I'll take a plea deal and I want to get off. And he wanted to make a deal with the Southern District. And they wrote the worst report I think I've ever seen on any human being, other than the report that was written on James Comey by the Inspector General, a very great Inspector General, actually. Wrote a report that was so bad. This one was possibly worse. The Southern District, the judge didn't let us use it. He said, it's hearsay. I said, it's not hearsay. Wouldn't let us use it. This is about the man. But he got in trouble for a very simple reason, because he was involved with borrowing a lot of money and he did something with the banks. I don't know if it's defrauded the banks, but something happened. You guys know what it is. And then in addition to that, he gave up on three things where he wasn't guilty. In fact, they were going to testify in that. The head of the FEC, the Brad Smith, an expert, number one.
I don't know why
rated
the
in
audio's
country,
doing that.
was going to testify.
It's not
He
mine.
took a plea on three things. He just added them in because that gave him more bargaining power with respect to me. But the
Might be
three
the video.
things that he
is.
pled on,
Not
having
mine.
to do with the election and having to do essentially a little bit with me, they weren't crimes. They
No,
weren't crimes.
they weren't.
No.
Nor is paying money under an NDA. So we
Right.
have an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. It's a big deal in non-disclosure agreement. Totally honorable, totally good, totally
They happen
accepted.
all the
Everybody
time.
has them.
All
Every company has non-disclosure
Yeah.
agreement. But the press called it slush fund and all sorts of other things. Hush money, hush money. It's not hush money. It's called a non-disclosure agreement. And Most of the people in this room have a non-disclosure agreement with their company.
Mm-hmm.
It's a disgrace. So it's not hush money. It's a non-disclosure agreement, totally legal, totally common. Everyone has it. And what happened is he signed a non-disclosure agreement with this person, I guess other people, but it's totally honest. You're allowed to make the payment. You don't have to make it. You can make it any way you want. It's a non-disclosure agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And he signed that. And there was nothing wrong with signing it. And this should have been a non-case. And everybody said it was a non-case, including Bragg. Bragg said, until I ran for office. And then they saw the polls. I was leading the Republicans. I was leading the Democrats. I was leading everybody.
You can't have that.
And all of a sudden, they brought it back. It's a very sad thing that's happening in our country. And it's a...
it's setting a
it's a
dangerous
thing that I'm honored. In a way, I'm honored. It's not that it's
President
pleasant.
Trump.
It's very bad for family.
President.
It's very bad for friends and businesses. But I'm honored to be involved in it because somebody has to do it. And I might as well keep going and be the one. But I'm very honored to be involved because we're fighting for our Constitution. The money that was paid legally. There was nothing illegal. In fact, the lawyer in creating the NDA, because at that time he was a fully accredited lawyer. He wasn't a fixer. I never thought of him as a fixer. The media called him a fixer, or the prosecutors called him a fixer. He was a lawyer, and he was fairly good. Later on, I didn't like what he did. I didn't like, for instance, I didn't like that when I became president, he went around and made deals with companies. When I heard that, he was gone.
Yep.
He was gone. And he had payments coming to him. And a lot of this involved things that are very simple. There was nothing wrong. This was standard stuff, all standard stuff. Everything involved was standard. There was no crime here. In fact, I just watched a couple of the reports. You watched Jonathan Turley, Andy McCarthy, Greg Jarrett. You look at all of these people, Mark Levin, all very talented people, great people, many more. Many more. And they don't know me, essentially. They don't know me. They're legal scholars and experts. But I look at them. I watched Turley this morning saying, there's no crime here. Everybody says there's no crime here.
Fox, yeah.
Except for this DA that's got the city out of control with crime.
They specifically
absolutely
changed
out of control.
the laws.
So we have an NDA that was signed.
After Donald Trump.
We have legal expenses.
That
And
should
here's
tell you all
the
you
thing
need to
on
know.
legal expenses. You have 100 where they say they do a charge. I just recorded this out. Falsification of business records in the first degree. It sounds so bad. Wow. And even my own lawyers, I get very upset with them because they don't say what it is. They say, well, falsification of legal records is only a felony. Well, that's a lot. Is only they say a misdemeanor. But they try and bring it up to a felony if there's two crimes. They have all these different things. The other thing is they missed the statute of limitations by a lot.
Right. By a
Because
lot.
this was very old. They could have brought this 7 years ago instead of bringing it right in the middle of the election.
Yep.
So they missed the statute of limitations. They did everything. Now, let me give you the good news. The good news is last night, we just got a report this morning. In the history of politics, I believe, maybe I'm wrong. Somebody will find that I'm wrong, maybe, but I don't think so. They raised with small money donors, meaning like $21, $42, $53, $38, a record $39 million in about a 10-hour period.
Wow.
You don't think of that.
And it crashed their website.
Yeah, their website crashed because it was so many.
like
There were
those
so
people.
many people trying to donate. I'm going to be honest, dude. If I had the extra
Because so
money
far,
right now,
I guess it's
I
back.
would.
Well, I don't know.
I did too.
I'd rather not
I
have it
wasn't a
happen.
broke
I don't want
boy.
to have it backfiring. I don't want to win this thing legitimately, not because they were stupid and did things that they shouldn't be doing. They shouldn't have brought this case.
No,
They were
they
saying
shouldn't
it this morning. This is a case that should not have been brought.
ever.
ever.
I watched Andy McCarthy say this is a case that should not have been brought.
He did say
And
that.
that was this morning. But they all say that. Every legal scholar has said it. And these are great people. They really understand the law. The other thing, a poll just came out. The first poll, I don't know, maybe others will be bad, but a poll just came out a little while ago. The Daily Mail. Does anybody read the Daily Mail? It's very good. They have a good poll.
Yeah.
At least I like it today. And the Daily Mail just came out with a poll.
That's classic
And
Donald
classic.
Trump.
it has Trump up 6 points in the last 12 hours. 6 points. 6 points since this happened. Who thought this could happen?
The more they attack him,
Because
more
the
popular
people
he
of our
grows.
country know it's a hoax. They know it's a hoax. They get it.
Most
you know,
do.
they're
I
really
truly
smart.
believe that.
I hope so.
And it's really something. So we're going to be appealing this scam. We're going to be appealing it on many different things. He wouldn't allow us to have witnesses. He wouldn't allow us to talk. He wouldn't allow us to do anything.
Raise
The
over
judge
$3
was a
million
tyrant.
per hour, dude.
And you got to see that with Bob Costello, a fine man. I've never seen anything like it. And neither has anybody that was in that courthouse where he demanded that the courthouse be cleared. Now, the good news is most of the people in the courthouse were the media. And anybody that was in the media, if you're fair, you'll say, wow, that was anger. That was crazed. He was crazed.
Yeah.
And the reason that Bob Costello acted a little bit upset, which I think he has a right to, was that every question he was being asked was being objected to by the other side and sustained by the judge. Sustained. I think he did it many times. I don't know what the number
Countless,
was.
dude.
Times.
I lost count.
Even I was sitting there saying, and these were basic questions. And I never saw anybody treated that way by a judge. And I've been treated very badly by two other judges also, because it's all the same thing. And it all comes out of the White House. Crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country. He's the worst president in the history of our country. The most incompetent.
No.
The dumbest president we've ever had. He's the dumbest
My butt's been
president,
wiped.
most incompetent president, and he's the
Seen
most
that
dishonest
clip?
president
Of
we've
what?
ever had.
Of Biden
And
saying,
so
my
many
butt's
of
been
the-
wiped.
he's a Manchurian candidate.
No, I
You
haven't.
take a look
but...
at the way he treats China, Russia, so many others. You know, I ended the Russian pipeline. It was dead.
Such a gaff
He
machine.
comes in and he approves it.
Uh-huh.
And he gets $3.5 million, meaning $3.5 million is paid to the family, his family,
Yep.
from the mayor
His granddaughter.
of Moscow's wife. And I said, where did that come from?
Biden.
Nobody wants to talk about it.
Yep.
But he's a very big danger to our country. And the only way they think they can win this election is by doing exactly what they're doing right now, win it in the courts, because they can't win it at the ballot box.
Yeah.
So we're going to show them that we're going to fight. It's actually, I don't know, it's something where I'm wired in such a way that a lot of people would have gone away a long time ago. They would have
Very
gone
true.
away
Oh,
after
yeah.
impeachment hoax number one. That was a total hoax.
Oh, my God.
He's a fighter.
Great support from the
Yeah.
Republican Party, though. Then you had impeachment hoax number two. And then they formed the committee. How about they formed the committee of thugs? The J6
Oh,
committee of thugs. And they took their records
Got
and
some
they
surprise
destroyed
guests
all of the
coming up,
records
You guys, too.
after the committee was abandoned,
Not at liberty
because
yet.
those
but
records were great for us.
coming up.
Now, can you imagine if Republicans did that? Everybody would have been in jail by now.
Oh, my God. Right?
Think of it. The unselect, I call it the unselect. They call it select committee. I call it the unselect committee of thugs.
Yeah.
They meet. It's 100% Democrat and two past Republicans that are no longer Republicans, that are no longer in business anymore.
Liz
Yeah.
Cheney and Kissinger.
But it was
Yep.
all Democrats and two
Bye,
wayward
Felicia.
Republicans.
Both of them.
Liz
Yeah, they're both
Cheney
not in Congress now.
and crying Adam Kinzinger. He
Yeah,
cries every time he
crying
goes on television.
Kinzinger.
He's the most emotional human being I think I've ever seen. And
That's a joke.
that was our representatives. These two people were our rep. So they had all this stuff that they're leaking. And then when it came time to look at the records, like where the police said and the Capitol Guard said that I supplied, think of it, that I recommended as many soldiers or National Guard as you want.
Yeah.
10,000. If you had 500, you wouldn't have had a problem. There wouldn't have been a J6. But Nancy Pelosi and the group didn't want it anyway. So they have testimony to all of that.
That's correct.
That I did not attack the Secret Service agent in the front of a car.
Oh my God, that was
You
such
know,
a
these are
ridiculous
strong people.
thing.
And I supposedly went to the driver
Yeah.
and I grabbed him around the neck. And he
Not sure
buffed
how
me,
that-
and then I went to the other guy who I think is a black belt in karate. And he's slightly
Oh, that'll
younger
go
than
well.
me.
Right.
Maybe 35 years,
slightly
40
younger.
years, 50
Yeah.
years. And I grabbed him around the neck and said, he's a black belt in karate. They know how to get somebody from around their neck.
Yeah.
They would have gone like this, and that would be the end of that.
Right.
Actually, I had a friend that said, you shouldn't dispute that. That makes you look like the toughest cookie we've ever seen.
Why?
You should
I
have
was
let
when
that
they
go
first
on.
said it, I'm like,
But
that's
the
so
fact is, it never
badass.
happened. It was all made up.
It was made up.
And that was proven to be made up. It proved to be a false story. And they deleted and destroyed all of that information, every ounce of it.
Yep.
We're dealing with a corrupt government.
And
We
the-
have a corrupt country. Our elections are corrupt. Our borders are open.
Yes, they
Our
are.
borders are going to be closed very soon. November 5th is going to be the most important day in the history of our country. Now, when I say that, because my people are always saying, do this, because we're fighting for America, DonaldJTrump.com.
Yep.
I hope everybody watching right now, DonaldJTrump.com, because it really makes a difference. They have a lot of money on the other side. I don't know where they get it. Nobody knows where they get it, but for some reason they get money.
Soros.
But they're not on the side of our country. In many ways, I think they hate our country. Who
Rothschild.
on earth can want open borders where people are allowed to pour in from countries unknown, from places unknown, from languages that we haven't even heard of? We have people sitting in school with languages where very few people have ever even heard of these languages. It's not like Spanish or French or Russian. Languages unknown. We have people coming from corners of the globe, and many of them are not good people. Many terrorists, record levels of terrorism, record levels of terrorists have come into our country.
That have
Record.
been on the watch
They've
list.
never seen anything like it. You know,
That's
there was
just
a
the ones they've caught.
report that
Like
in
150.
2018, I don't believe this, by the way, the
Many getaways.
media gave it, and it was good for me, believe it or not. They
Countless.
said in 2019, there were no terrorists recorded that came into our country. I don't believe that. I don't think that's possible. But they actually, 2019 was a Trump year. I don't believe that that could be possible. But they said no terrorists came into our country. So let's say it was close. Let's say it was close. But now record levels of terrorists, record levels, the highest level we've ever seen of terrorists are pouring into our country. You have China with just in the last few months, 29,000 people came in, and I looked at them on a line, and they look like perfect soldiers. They're almost all male.
We've had a show
From
about
19 to 25. It looks like a recruiting exercise. They have beautiful tents. They have propane stoves.
Yeah.
They have cell phones,
Yep.
the best you can buy.
Oh, yeah.
I said, what's going on? It looks like they're building an army right in our country.
Yep. Nice, pretty
Now,
Biden shirts.
I don't think that would happen, right? We're losing our country.
Yeah.
And I really think that this is an event, what took place yesterday with this judge. Look, we have conflicted, but he's a crooked judge, and you'll understand that. And I say that knowing that it's very dangerous for me to say that, and I don't mind, because I'm willing to do whatever I have to do to save our country and to save our Constitution. I don't mind. So thank you. So we will continue the fight. We're going to make America great again. Very simple. When people fight MAGA, they say, we're going to fight. I watch Biden. We're going to fight MAGA. We're going to stop MAGA. It's make America great again.
Right?
That's all it is. MAGA.
Yeah.
Make America great again.
They
Our
tell
country's
us
in
what they're
serious
about.
trouble. We
They
owe
hate this
$36 trillion. We were energy independent for the first time ever.
Yeah.
And now we're begging Venezuela for oil. One statistic you have to hear. Venezuela was crime-ridden. Caracas, the cities, crime-ridden.
Speaking
2
of
years
Venezuela,
ago,
I
3
want to
years
tell you
ago.
guys something after this.
They just reported a 72% drop in crime in the last year.
Yeah, where'd they
Because
all go?
all of their criminals, most of them, and the rest are coming in now.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that didn't come in. In Venezuela, their prisons have been emptied into the United States.
Yep.
Their criminals and drug dealers have been taken out of the cities and brought into the United States.
Yep.
And that's true with many other countries. The Congo has just released a lot of people from jail. Congo, Africa,
Yep.
just released a lot of people,
I read
a
that.
lot of people from their prisons and jails and brought them into the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
This is what's happening to our country. And it's not sustainable by anyone.
It's not.
It's
Little
unconscious.
things like our kids can't have a Little League game anymore because you have tents and you have migrants living on the fields.
Unreal.
That's the least of it. People are taking over our luxury hotels, migrants,
Yeah.
and yet our veterans,
Yep.
our great veterans, are
Homeless
living
on
on
the
the
street.
streets.
Yep.
Like
It's
dogs,
insane.
they're living on the streets. But migrants are living in luxury hotels and cities all over our country run by Democrats. So it's my honor to be doing this. It really is. It's a very unpleasant thing, to be honest. But it's a great, great
Yeah.
honor. We're gonna do what I have to
Do
do. I'm going to do it, and the support has been. That's why I mentioned the number of $39 million. That's why I mentioned we're up 6 points, and we went up a lot over the last month because everybody saw it was a rigged deal. It was a rigged trial. But we're going to make America great again. We're going to make it better than ever before. November 5th. Remember, November 5th is the most important day in the history of our country. Thank you very much, everybody.
It is.
So that was Trump's press conference, and I think he said some very, very accurate things. I mean, he laid it out. I can't imagine, and I'm serious on this, man. Can you imagine any former president going through what Donald Trump has gone through? And just look at his first term, right? And the way his first term ended, the election, right? And all that stuff, the constant attacks from the time he came down the escalator. Can you imagine any other president deciding to run for office again?
No.
No way, man.
There's no way.
And if they can do what they're doing to a multi-billionaire, very famous, well-loved man pre-2016 like Donald J. Trump, what the hell hope do we have? The average American.
Very true.
If they decide, if the government apparatus decide to come after us, it's over. It's done.
What were you going to say about
Okay,
that?
so Venezuela, I have a buddy, right? If you're watching, shout out. So he worked with a guy who was from Venezuela,
Okay.
right? And interestingly enough, they happen to be talking about Star Wars, right? And the guy mentioned, or my buddy did, one of them mentioned George Lucas, okay? Did you know that Skywalker Ranch was originally in Venezuela, and a lot of the Star Wars footage was shot in Venezuela?
No, I didn't
Yavin
know
4 was shot in the jungles of Venezuela.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either, right? Turns out that, at least according to the guy who's from Venezuela, I don't know why he would, make this up, but they actually called George Lucas El Presidente Lucas because he had such an effect on the economy in Venezuela.
Oh.
Interestingly enough, Jobs, it was a massive compound that he had, Interestingly enough, shortly after George Lucas moved Skywalker Ranch to California, Venezuela took a nosedive, and now they're they're eating dogs, for Christ's sake.
They also went socialist.
That's what I'm saying. It was after that. Now,
Oh, okay.
Are the two connected? Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But I do find it interesting that he was such a boon to the economy there. And then he left. The country fell apart. They slid into socialism. There, I mean,
Maybe.
maybe it wouldn't be the craziest thing, you know? I mean, look what Disney's doing to Star Wars, man.
You want to be amazed again?
Oh,
I've
what?
never seen Star Wars.
Dude, you're killing me with all
I
the
knew
stuff.
you did.
This guy has not seen some of the most iconic movies of all time. Of all time.
I've seen E.T.
Okay, you know what? We were going to do show tomorrow. We may have to watch a movie instead. Like, he's seen E.T., guys. He's seen
and
E.T.
Back to the Future.
He's seen, okay, all three?
All three.
Okay, all right, okay,
That's one of my favorite movies.
okay. But you haven't seen Top Gun.
Nope.
You haven't seen Top Gun Maverick. You haven't seen The Terminator. You haven't seen Terminator 2. Yep.
All right. Anyway,
look, we got to fix this. We have to fix this. But, ladies and gentlemen, I can't imagine anyone else but
No.
Donald Trump surviving this. Like,
He's the only one.
legitimately can't. He's the only one. Now, I've read some very, very interesting theories. And this is why I said precedent Trump, right? It sets the precedent because before him, no president has ever been attacked or charged or any of the things that they've done to Donald Trump has happened to no president before in our history.
nobody's ever gone.
Nobody's
after,
ever gone through anything like this.
They never go after presidents like this.
Right. It was just, okay, their term's done or whatever, right? Let them be. I mean, we're talking drone strikes on civilians. We're talking,
Obama.
lying to essentially committing war crimes and claiming weapons of mass destruction. I mean, it goes on and on and on all throughout history.
Didn't Bill Clinton do hush money for
Yeah.
wanting to? Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
he
Far
could-
higher amounts too, by the way. I mean, anyway, it's going to be interesting to see if this ends up boomeranging the way so many more things have. And we'll get into this another time. But I believe some interesting things are coming.
I think so too.
I believe some interesting times are coming. And again, almost $40 million in 10 hours is insane.
It is.
And I do believe, and it's all from small donors. It's not like, it's not like millionaires called up and said, I'm going to give you $1 million. All from small donors all across the country who have said, yeah, we're not going to take this lying down. We're behind you, President Trump. Get rid of resident ice cream and let's do this. Let's make America great again.
I think he will probably win the popular vote, but the Electoral College, I'm not sure.
You're not sure about that, huh? We shall see what happens, ladies and gentlemen. I'll say this. One of the things that was accomplished in 2020 was it makes it impossible for the vice president to question the election now. It makes it impossible to elect alternate electors. Many things have changed. Many things have changed. And remember, all the ways, not every place, not everywhere that did it, but most places that changed election law right before the election, all that stuff has been repealed and has been found unconstitutional. And in many cases, the election itself was declared incorrect because of the way the laws were implemented by secretaries of state rather than lawmakers.
Yep.
There's a lot of things that are going on that we're not being told, we're not being shown. So again, it's going to be very, very interesting.
Maybe.
So stay
Suburban
tuned.
women will make the choice. I think they're going to be deciding factor.
So that's an interesting theory too, is essentially, women are going to be the big suburban women are going to be the big vote swingers. Now, if that's the case, what's been happening? What has the Biden administration pushed? Men and women's sports.
That's true.
I mean,
That would definitely help Trump.
give it some thought. Give it some thought. Women fought very, very, very hard for the right to vote, the right to have their own sports, their own, everything.
And they
right?
should.
And they should. But you've got Resident Ice Cream, Hyena Girl, and the administration calling for men to be able to play sports, like full contact sports. We're not talking about golf, right? We're talking about football, wrestling, boxing, all of these full contact, weightlifting. It's insanity, man. Basketball. It's we're living in a clown world.
And
so
they shouldn't be able to play
it shouldn't be like this.
No.
It should not be like this. But here's where we are. So we'll see. We'll see. Stay tuned to Dion's Daily Dose. We'll keep you informed and keep you updated. We got a whole lot more stuff coming very, very soon. Got some guests coming up that you guys are definitely going to want to tune into. I can't reveal it yet, but they're coming, and I hope you'll stay tuned with us and see what we got planned for you, because it's going to be glorious. And I'll say it again. You can call me whatever you want. I don't care about the left's names for us. I don't care what they think. What is it? There's a I think it's from Rick and Morty, which I don't watch, but I had my kids love Rick and Morty. I have friends who constantly talk about Rick and Morty. Your boos mean nothing because I've seen what makes you cheer. And that's really what it comes down to. These people, the far left, I'm not talking about traditional, what I call JFK Democrats, right? I'm talking about the far left progressive, out of their mind,
the crazy
people who cheer at abortion up to the day of delivery, dude. What? Like, cheer for that.
And most Americans are against that.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
We can discuss. I have my own beliefs. You have your own beliefs. We can discuss like reasonable levels of like birth control, right? Which, again, beliefs are beliefs.
Yep.
I feel a certain way, but anyone and everyone, in my opinion, that embraces the murder of babies up to and including full term, that's just sacrifice at that point, as far as I'm concerned. Sacrifice to some ancient deity for nefarious purposes, because it's some pretty sicko stuff, man. It really is. It really is. But slowly but surely, I do believe that, people are starting to wake up to it. Look at California and the state senator recently.
Yep.
We show coming out about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate you spending your time with me, as always, and stay tuned. Most nights at 7 p.m. we release a video, and then Wednesday mornings at 8 a.m., which may move to Tuesday, depending. It's up to you guys. We'll talk to you. Right now, we do coffee break, 8 a.m. on Wednesday mornings, but we may move it to Tuesday if you guys prefer. Let us know. Talk at DionBergeron.com. You can also go to Dion'sDailyDose.com. That'll send you to the site, and then you can click on the Contact Us. And let us know what you think, because we want a conversation with you guys. That's just the way that it is. So thank you very much. I hope that everyone has a wonderful evening. God bless you. God bless Indiana. And God bless the United States of America. And I'll say it loud and proud. Make America great again. And God bless Donald J. Trump. Good night.
If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose. This has been Dion's Daily Dose, hosted by Dion Bergeron. Executive producers, Shawn Holgram and Michael Beebe. Copyright 2024. Dion's Daily Dose, all rights reserved.